You seem cool.
Lucas, you seem cool. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I am great. Thank you so much for joining me on this. Here's why I love you. I love you because not only, of course, because of your impressions. I found you on TikTok. Your impressions blew me away.
I love it when you call me Senorita.
I love it when you call me Senorita. I love it when you call me Senorita.
I love it when you call me Senorita.
It's a talent I wish I had, and I thought I had when I was younger, but I definitely don't. But then also your original character work. I bow down to Jenkins. I think it's one of the smartest ways to make like a social commentary fun. And so kudos to you, buddy. Really well done stuff.
Sir, I have a new idea for an article of women's clothing.
All right, hit me.
I call it the dress.
All right, give me your pitch.
We market it as an easy all-in-one piece of clothing, covers the whole body.
Good sell.
But on the low, we make it a norm that you need to get so many different kinds of them for different occasions.
Ooh, a creative drain on the wallet.
Indeed, sir. Weddings, work, the club.
They won't be able to get one for all three?
They'll have to get multiple for each.
Fantastic.
You could appear, and I mean this as a compliment, anywhere between 12 and 74 years old.
I've gotten that.
It's such a, and especially what you do with your voice too matches
Oh, yeah.
the way that you look to me. Like if I had to draw you blind and I heard like your impressions,
Yeah.
like I think I'd be pretty close actually.
Well, what's funny is, I remember an opening joke I did for my stand-up because I that's how I started. Is that I started doing stand-up in 2019, and then when it wasn't available to me because of the pandemic, that's why I got on TikTok as just another outlet. But a bit I did was how I think that dating apps work in my favor. Because like you see my face and then you swipe right and then you hear what I sound like in person, and that's kind of a nice surprise. But if it was reversed and you heard what I sound like and then you formed an image of what you thought I was going to look like, and then you saw me in person, you'd just be disappointed.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's
I
just
see
the
it.
ultimate catfish.
I see, and you don't even mean it. So it's the hard part. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not like you're trying to.
It's been like this since I was 15. I've had that dynamic since I was 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much that's fantastic about you. We also do have a lot of things in common. You're a dog lover as
Yes,
well, right?
100%.
Okay. So do you have a dog or do you just love
I do not have a
strangers'
dog.
dogs?
Yeah, I just obsess over strangers' dogs and fantasize about having. The thing is, what I want is like a really big, slightly dumb, really fluffy dog. I'm not a fan of like little dogs. That's something that me and my mom have in common, is that we're both afraid of stepping on a really tiny dog. That's why we want just a big hunk of a dog.
Yeah. Well, if you want to borrow one, let me know. I have 9. So if you need to borrow one, you can borrow one.
I might.
Most of mine are small, but the good thing is there's a pack of them now. So like you can't miss them. You can't miss them.
Wow. Okay. At what point did you jump? Was it like really gradual? Like you had 1, you had 2, or did you have like a big cluster just at one point added?
I'm not sure what happened, if I'm going to be honest with you.
It's just all a blur.
I had 1. Okay. So I had 1, and then we bought that one, and then we got into rescuing and opened our eyes to like,
I see.
So we were like, we should rescue a buddy for this. So we rescued our first dog, and who is my favorite, Biscotti. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
But she knows
I won't
it.
tell him. I won't tell him.
So then we rescued her, and then my wife was like, "Oh, if you have 2, what's the big deal? Get 3." And then before I knew it, so the old ones were dying, the young ones were available in pairs, and I just got to 9. I think I skipped the number 7. I think I went from 6 to 8 dogs because we got 2 old dogs together that were 2 bonded seniors that they found just roaming the streets together. Yeah, Pana and Kata, they were buddies. So I skipped 7.
That's
I've
nice.
never had 7 dogs. I just thought about that. I've never had
Wow.
7 dogs.
No, I remember when I was 13, my parents and we got 2 dogs that were found together. They were found playing together on Long Island, and they were called Jack and Jill because one was a Jack Russell Terrier and the other one they just decided to call Jill. But Jack turned out to be not a nice person. He bit my cousin Rami and like bit his leg down to the bone, like his teeth went down to the bone. And my aunt just said, "Thank God this happened with us and not a stranger who would have sued you." And then we were like, "Okay, we might need to get rid of Jack," but we kept Jill, and Jill was the best, sweetest animal.
But what did Rami do? If we're going to be honest with each other,
I mean, no, he's just a commentator for Fox News now. He got radicalized from that point on.
He's all the way. He turned all the way on it.
Yeah.
So I do. And you're a dessert guy. I understand, right? Like you're known to make one mean chocolate lava cake. Is that true?
Yeah. You went through my resume.
I did my research.
Yeah. No, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do make a mean chocolate lava cake. I do also do one with Nutella. But yeah, I can do it. I can do it fairly well. It's a weird thing. It's something I've gotten used to only my oven. Like when I try to use other ovens, it somehow doesn't turn out right. I'm not sure if it's because the dial on my oven is off and I've just grown accustomed to that, but I need to get accustomed to a new oven if I use it.
You have to have your own kitchen. I'm a cooker as well. I don't really bake. I eat, obviously, I obviously eat the baked goods, but I don't chocolate lava cake. I found that later in life, to be honest, too. I wasn't a fan.
Oh yeah.
But then I'm looking forward to when you send me one and I could give you my full review.
100%. I was judged recently because what I do is I time it so that the center is still a little bit molten, but apparently what you're supposed to do is like put some extra chocolate in the center so it's not just raw batter on the inside. And I was like, but it's not raw, it's heated, it's still molten. But apparently someone said it's not safe. I was like, oh, okay.
It's warmish batter. What do these people want from you?
So judgy.
Judgy, super judgy. So you started with stand up. You did impersonations obviously your whole life and just
pretty much my whole life. I've always been like memorizing sounds around me. Even before I was doing impressions, I was always memorizing sounds.
Great.
Like I used to memorize the sounds of like the subway, like subway trains before they came into the station.
Really?
And I could tell which train it was going to be before it would come in. And so I would tell my parent, like if it was my mom picking me up, I would be like, what are you waiting for? It's the F train. Come on, let's get up. Or if it was the G train and she would get up, I would like, what are you getting up for? It's the G train. Let's wait.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
and
that's a keen ear.
Yeah, definitely. But I started doing impressions in like high school. I started doing impressions of teachers.
Who do you think is your best impression? And conversely, who do you think is your worst impression?
I mean, I'm pretty confident in my John Mulaney and Christopher Walken. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in those.
Yeah.
And
your Mulaney is phenomenal. Your Mulaney is, I've talked to him in real life too.
Well, Joe, you're quite a sweet talker. My God. It's charming the pants off me. Listen to you. I don't know.
I like that too, because I feel like everybody could do, because Walken is not everybody could do Walken, but Walken is such a specific weird thing. And he could basically actually say anything that you don't need to follow the nuance as much as you do like with Mulaney. So that's really,
really And I also think that Walken, not that he's like overdone, but I know that a lot of people can do him. You've heard a lot of like Walken impressions over the years. And so I really want to do one that not enough people do. Or it's something that's just a little bit unique that I could claim as like my own a little bit.
Is there somebody you're working on, or do you?
I don't know if there's anyone I'm working. I wanted to get better at my Morgan Freeman because like I connected with Frank Caliendo because of TikTok, and I was like, I can't do one. And then he was like, sure you can. You gotta work on it. And then I responded to that video trying to work on a little more. He's like, yeah, you're improving. I was like, oh yay. So that was nice. But yeah, that one is still hard for me. It's just like it's a comfortableness in a lower range that I'm just not quite there yet.
I was like, the thing with Caliendo is he makes everyone when he's talking looks effortless.
Oh yeah, he really is like a virtuoso in that. Like he's just it's like a ballet watching with him.
I did impressions of an impressionist. So I grew up watching In Living Color, of course, and I loved Jim Carrey. And I used to in high school used to do like a Fire Marshal Bill and things like that. But I'm not good at that. I've actually have heard people do impressions of me a couple times, like, well, because one of my big things on the show is I yell Larry, right? So yelling Larry is easy, but there's people that will just like try to mimic me from that, and I've seen both sides of it. I've seen some really good ones and I've seen some really bad ones. So like when we were on tour once, this woman was like, hey, you got to do it to her husband.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this guy's just gonna like yell Larry, and he literally did like a whole monologue that I had did in like and it sounded like almost exactly like me. And I was like, oh my God, that was insane to see that. And then I've also had people that are like, he sounds just like you, and it doesn't sound anything like me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it goes both ways.
I think that's also the same thing with people who say that they look like you. They're like, so going like, oh, my husband, my brother, he looks exactly like you. And sometimes it might be accurate, but other times he looks bad.
It's so funny. Sal takes offense to that all the time if he sees somebody that sees him. Yeah. Like he's like, I look like that. I'm like, no, you don't look anything like that. And we get the photos online too, and people do the side by sides, and then they still say it. And I'm like, you're looking at the same pictures we are, right? We don't look like that.
It's a weird thing to say, but I can imagine a lot of people thinking they look like Sal.
Yes.
I can imagine that.
Sal is the most Morpheus when it comes to everybody's got somebody that kind of looks like Sal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I remember it's a weird thing. When I was 10, my parents told me that when my mom was pregnant with me, that I had a twin in the womb that like got reabsorbed or something. And from that point on, at any school or program or wherever I was, there was always someone who everyone said I looked exactly like. And that's happened to this day.
Really?
But it started right at that point. So I don't know, like universe or whatever, but like there was something weird going. I've had a lot of people say they look like me. A lot of people.
I got like $47 worth of free free Pret a Manger food because the people thought I was Steve Carell that worked there. So I was shopping. It's when my hair was different and a little bit more of it. It was when my wife was pregnant with our first babe and we were coming out of the city and we had the long ride home. She's like, I'm starting. I was like, let me run in and grab something. So it was like season 2 or 3 of the show. So I was grabbing something off the shelf and a fan saw me and walked in from off the street. And she's like, can I get a picture? And I said, yeah. And she took a picture and the girl behind the counter saw me and then went in the back. So then she came out and I went to the, put down all the snacks and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, and she's like, I just wanted to tell you, she's like, I loved you and Bruce Almighty. And I was like,
oh my God.
Because she thought like the fans, someone I was Steve Carell. She's like, do you mind if we get a picture with the staff? And I know I don't sound like Carell. And I was like, yeah. just like, so I got the whole crowd behind. There's a picture of me, whatever. And they put it up on social media that it was like Steve Carell. And then I went on Twitter and I thanked Steve Carell and tagged Pret a Manger saying, hey, thanks so much for the free food. And he wrote back that I owe him a sandwich. But it was just such a weird experience that they went that far to think that I looked that much like him, like being right next to me, give me free food. So
that's awesome. I know that I'm pretty sure that Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon, they have like an agreement with each other because they get confused for each other all the time, that they just, anytime they get confused for the other person, they have to be just extra polite. That it's only when they're correctly identified that they're allowed to be like just a little bit of an asshole.
Oh, I would love that. It should go the other way. They should try to be the worst human possible when they do each other. So what is like the aspiration here for you to do? Would you want to do like, is it a comedy special that you want to do? Do you want to be a sitcom actor? Like what's the game for you?
I would say it's sort of been changing a lot because when I graduated from college, I was just focused on acting. And then I very deeply dove into just voiceover. And then I went back into acting. And then I sort of found the courage to try stand-up, which I've been wanting to do ever since I was 13. And now I'm just so obsessed with stand-up and like stuff is opening up again. And I'm really trying to go for that. So at the moment, what I'm really trying to do is just get experience and do as much stand-up as possible. Yeah. I'm definitely geared towards stand-up right now, but I definitely also really want to still pursue acting. And so I'm sort in those like couple of things, but
you're a Swiss Army knife of talent. You know, you can do whatever you can. Well, now's a good time to have a good voice, right? Because everything is so like, remote. Now's a good time to be able to work to work remotely from home, and you're busy, right?
I'm super appreciative because like I became like full time just in voiceover back in 2019, and I was able to work throughout the pandemic just from home, and so I was super grateful for that. Just as a lifeline, but it's still my lifeline.
Talk to me about Jenkins.
Jenkins, what are underwires?
They sit at the bottom of each cup, defining more curve, lift, and shape.
That doesn't sound too bad.
But the fabric will weaken and the wires will just stab you out of nowhere.
No one will tolerate that.
Oh, they will, sir, for the price of beauty.
Okay, but Jenkins, for example, I don't care about like roundness or perkiness that much.
Oh, breasts and preferences about them are far more varied than anyone will know.
Exactly.
So we never discuss it. Push our own correct narrative. And monetize solutions for their insecurities.
My God, you think of everything.
I was trying to put together a Halloween costume. And initially I wanted to try to be David Bowie for Halloween. And I was looking for David Bowie items and I found these leggings with like the lightning bolts going down the side. And I thought, oh, cool, I could get that. And so I was trying to find my size so I could buy them. It was women's sizing and I couldn't figure out which one would fit me because like I'm quite thin and a little bit tall. And so there was just nothing that fit my proportions. And so I was just sitting in my university center and I was sitting next to a friend of mine. And I was like, hey, Samantha, can you help me figure this out? And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And she just said, yeah. And then I was like, but I can't put like a belt on leggings. So if I get something that's the right pant leg, it would be too wide on the waist. And she just said, yeah. And I was like, "Oh, is this how it is?" And she just said,
It's like
"Yeah."
Inception
Yeah,
going.
and then I was like, "But this makes no sense. How can you live like this?" And she just kept leaning into it, just sort of like feeding off of my confusion. Just and like she just got so into my despair. And then she was like, "Wait, do you learn about like bra prices?
Yeah, let's talk about bras.
Like, "What do you learn about everything?"
She
and then
stretches out to get in the convo with you.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, it seemed designed to be confusing. That's the thing, is that it seemed like it was designed from someone who was just had hate in his heart and just wanted to cause issue. And that's how Jenkins was born. Just someone who wanted to watch the world burn, and that just someone who just wants to see women suffer and cry. Just like it was so natural. And
well, it's fantastic and it's robust and it really makes me laugh. And I actively get excited when a new Jenkins drops. So thank you so much for bringing that to my life.
I really appreciate it, because I honestly sometimes feel just a little bit hacky because it's so easy to make.
Right.
I literally just look up like buying pants issue or problems with buying pants or whatever, and then I find some issues that women talk about online, and I think, all right, I'll mention that and say that it was my intention as Jenkins.
You seem like a good dude. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You seem cool. I think I'm right. I think, Lukas, you seem cool. I feel like my instincts were correct, buddy.
Thank you. You're way cooler.
Thanks, man.